Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to welcome you all to the fourth day of NHRA Medical Device Regulation webinar. Today's module is about medical device importation, and it will be presented by Mr. Abdullah Saeed. We have enabled the Q&A box located at the bottom of the screen. Please feel free to raise any question during and after the presentation, where it will be then answered by the speaker. And in order to take advantage of this time, I would like to kindly encourage you to raise questions that are related to today's module. We will have an interactive session at the end of the webinar where you will be able to ask the speaker directly by clicking on raise hand button. There is no need to take photos of the presentation as it will be shared after the webinar. At the end of the webinar, we will be having the exam regarding today's module that will be shared as a link in the chat box. Please make sure to click on that link as soon as possible, as it will only be available for 20 minutes upon ending the webinar. We're delighted to announce that the top 5 candidates will be earning their seats in the Committee of Medical Device Private Market Representatives, where they can take part to set the new regulation with us, while piloting it together to take their valuable feedback into consideration prior to implementation during our monthly meeting. All participants will receive certificates of attendance, and I hope you will benefit as much as possible from this webinar. Please visit GCC MedTech website to get more information about the first GCC Summit of Medical Devices agenda and speaker. And I will now leave you with Mr. Abdullah Saeed presentation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we are going to talk about medical device importation. So on the beginning, this is the subject that we will cover today. We will talk about what is UFOC and how to use UFOC and the required document, and we'll talk about some issues that we faced already on UFOC. On the beginning, what is UFOC? For the people who does not know anything about UFOC, UFOC is a web-based software. It's made by Custom Affairs to link between governmental sector and Bahrain Customs. It's basically made to monitor all the shipment that's coming to Bahrain. After logging in to UFOC, you have to go to licensing on the right, then click license, right-click on license, and choose a new request. This page will appear to you. Always make sure that you choose the correct ministry code, because in Bahrain, all the ministries have their own codes. So if you choose a wrong code, your request will go to another ministry. So make sure that you choose 2251 for NHRA medical device. Number 3 is the reference number. The reference number will be auto-generated by the system. The licensing type number 4 here is single use. Always make sure that you choose single use, because if you choose multiple, it will be auto-rejected. Number 5 is the CR box. The CR box will be auto-generated also after you log in with your username and password. Number 6 is the request date. Number 7 is the validity of the request. So always make sure that you choose at least 1 year validity to your request. Number 8 is the license status. The request is requested, or it's approved, or rejected, or used. It will show on this box, number 8. After you put all the required information here, you go to item here, number 9. Choose item. It will take you to the next page. This is the most important page on the UFOC. So on the beginning, always make sure that you choose the correct country code for your shipment. For example, if your shipment coming from US, you have to put US here. if your shipment contain, for example, 3 country codes. So you have to put them all on the country code box here. Leaving this box empty will cause a rejection. So always make sure that you put the code on the box. Number 2 here is the tariff heading with the tariff description. It's mean the HS code. What is HS code? HS code is the coding system. It's created and developed by the World Customs Organization. It's made to classified, or it's to organize or facilitate all the products, so the customs can classify all your shipment. So always make sure that you choose the correct HS code, and always make sure that your imported item matching the description. Some of the codes contain a space code here. Number 4 and 5 is the amount. Always make sure that you choose a price. All these 3 options is not acceptable by NHRA. So always make sure that you choose a price and put the correct amount for your HS code. For example, if your invoice contains 3 items, one of them are the required approval from NHRA, so you have to put the amount for this HS code only. Number 6 is the comment box. Feel free to write anything, any details about your shipment. It's better to write all the shipment details on the comment box. Also, if your request is not approved, you will find the reason here on this box. Number 7 is the attachment box. Here you have to attach all the required documents. First, the invoice, the certificates, the catalog, the authorization letter, all of the required documents, and we will talk about them separately now later. To attach the document, you have to right-click on the box. You will have this option here. You have to click on insert. You will have this comment, the column here. First, you have to choose the code here. Then, all the codes have their own description. You have to write your own description here. For example, if it is invoice, you have to write invoice. If it's CE, you have to write CE. Or it's catalog or anything else. Also, you have to put the date and attach the document. Attaching the document, you have to right-click on the column itself. This option will have, you will have this option here. Click on attach document. After finishing attaching all the required documents, you have to go to up here. If your invoice contain more than HS code, you have to click on this icon on the top here, number 10. After clicking on this icon, you will have here more slides. For example, your invoice contains 4 HS codes, so you have to click it 4 times and put all the information on all the slides. After finishing adding all the information, you click on stored icon here. This icon will store your request in your system, so it will not show on our system. After clicking on store, go to the main page again, click on licensing, right-click on license, click on find, then search on document status. You can search by all the stored requests, or you can go to license reference number here and put the reference number to go to specific request. After you find your request, you right-click on the request, click on request, then go this page will appear. Go to this icon and click on it, and your request will be submitted to NHRA or any other ministry. So now we will talk about the required documents. First and most important is the invoice. The invoice should include HS code, good item description, manufacturer name, and country of origin. Second is the authorization letter, and third is the quality certificate. This is an example for some of the certificates, the SFDA, FDA, CE, and ISO. This is the only acceptable ISO standard for NHRA. So make sure that you submit the correct ISO standard. The certificate should be verified before submitting to avoid any violation, and the certificate should be issued by a recognized notifying body. And number 4 is the catalog or artwork or the label. In some cases, we will ask for an additional document. For example, if the invoice is not issued by the manufacturer, in this case, you have to provide an authorization letter from the manufacturer to the invoice issuer. In case this invoice issuer is not an authorized distributor, in this case, you have to provide a declaration letter from the manufacturer. The declaration letter should contain the full details of the shipment. For example, the seller and the invoice number, the items in the invoice, and also the quantity and the shipment, and clear description that the shipment will be distributed in Bahrain. In case of importing surgical instrument or contact lenses, NHRA will ask for samples from the customs. The samples should be sealed by customs. And also, we will ask, sometimes we'll ask about the classification letter. This classification letter we will have a separate presentation for it. Please note that all the required information are available on our website. You can go to our website and go to department and choose MDR and go to importation, and you will find all the guidelines and checklist you need to know any details or anything about medical device. As stated here, always make sure to obtain a pre-approval before importing any medical device. Please, if you import any shipment without getting a pre-approval, it's your responsibility. So we will not take any responsibility. You will have to pay a demurrage to customs. So we'll talk now about some obstacles that we face on OFOP. First, always make sure that your certificate is recognized by a recognized notifying body. So, for example, for the CE, your certificate should be recognized by the EU. For the ISO, your certificate should be recognized by the IAF. Always check your certificate before submitting the certificate on OFOP. On some cases, we reject the request with comment the invoice does not match with the certificates. For example, the invoice comes from company A and the certificates mention the name of the company is B. So always make sure that the names are matching on the invoice and the certificate. If not, you have to provide a relation or authorization or declaration. Sometimes we reject the request with comment no QOC for the CO. It's mean, for example, if you're importing an item from US and the certificate is showing US, but the items, for example, there are items from USA and China. The certificates cover only USA. In this case, you have to provide certificates for China also, because your certificate does not mention China. So make sure that your certificates cover all the sites on your invoice. In some cases, also we reject the request with comment the certificate scope of service does not match with the imported item. For example, if you are importing catheters, you have to make sure that your certificates on the scope of service mentioned that this certificate covers the catheters. For example, there are certificates covers, for example, syringes with needles, and you importing catheters. That means your certificate does not cover this item. So you have to provide a certificate with the specific scopes. In some cases, the certificate is invalid. There are some importer submit the request without checking their documents. You have to check the certificate before submitting the certificate on offer. Because in this cases, we will register this request as a violation. Also, the most common rejection reason on this time is the price. Always make sure that you putting the correct price on the box. Please always make sure that you put the correct price on the price box. Also, if your invoice contain discount, do not put the discount price on the offer because custom will not approve it, and you will not able to clear your shipment. So put the price without the discount. Put the full price without the discount. Also make sure that you put a clear document on your request. There are some cases the rejection will register as a violation. For example, not complying with NHRA rules and requirements. There are some cases that we reject the request with any comment. The importer resubmit the request with the same document without complying with NHRA requirement. In these cases, we will reject the request again with comment, please refer to last rejection, and please comply with NHRA rule and requirements. All this request will register as a violation. If the importer resubmit with the same attachment without complying, the request will register as a violation. If the importer submitted invalid document, for example, certificates, also the request will register as a violation. If you submit a duplicated request, it will register as a violation. If you have approved invoice, you have to contact NHRA by email and ask for modification or anything. Do not submit the same invoice again. Also, when you add a country code in the country code box or HS code, does not require NHRA approval. For example, if your invoice contain one HS code and you put another HS code, this will cause a violation. If you add, for example, your invoice contain one item, this item coming from China, and you add on the country box China and USA, this will register as a violation. Please make sure that you submit the correct information on your request to avoid any violations. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Engineer. If you can keep the presentation, because there were many questions raised, maybe we need to go back to the slides. So I will start with the first question. How many days will it take to get the approval after submission for importation request?
It usually takes at least 48 hours, but and sometimes we have load or something, so it will take more. But usually it's take 48 hours plus minus.
Thank you. The country code must be the country of origin of the product or the country from where the shipment is sent?
No, the country code should be the origin of the item, not the country of the invoice issuer.
we have to attach each document separately, or a bunch of documents can be attached in a single file?
No, it's mentioned on our guideline that you have to attach all the documents separately.
Is the submission of UFOق on Thursday only, or it can be done during the week? I'm not sure where it is stated in our website that it's only on Thursday, but it is a 24/7, and that's why we're actually getting overloaded, because people can even apply during the weekends. In the future, are there any plans for NHRA or customs to edit rejected applications? Sometimes if the rejection is for a small reason, applying from the start is a waste of time. You are 100% right. We have raised this to custom to embed it in the new version of UFOQ. We're eagerly waiting for this new version to be implemented. Can we give an example of DOC? And I will try to combine two questions, Abdallah, if you allow me, for DOC. Because I think there are three questions about DOC. Can the declaration letter for the invoice issuer be issued by the mother company, the owner of the legal manufacturer?
No, the declaration should be issued, or it will be required if you are importing something from a broker only. If you're importing any shipment from someone is not authorized representative or is not authorized distributor. In this case only, you have to provide a declaration. But if you are importing from authorized distributor, the relation from the manufacturer is enough.
Okay. Thank you very much. There is one question about if you can go back to the slide where they can apply on multiple HS codes. I think this question was raised by a person who joined after we started the presentation. That's why it's very important to be on time, please. Okay, so how can they apply? Where is the button they need to select if they want to add more than one HS code?
Here, number 10. You have to press on icon number 10 here. This icon. This icon will provide you here with more than a slide. For example, if you have two HS code, just press it one, and you will have another one here. If you have 4, 6, or 7, whatever, you have, just click on this icon, number 10 here.
Thank you very much for clarifying it. There is one question about spare parts. What are the requirements for spare parts?
It's depend. For example, if the spare part is a main part, this part will affect the main function of the machine. It will require the requirement will be the same for any machine. You have to provide the quality certificates with the invoice, with the catalog, and everything. If the spare part does not affect the main function, for example, it's just a cover or something like this, it's just attach the invoice and the catalog.
There is one question about rejection. If our request was rejected, shall we reapply again on UFOQ, or we have to send you an email with the required as a rejection?
No, in case of you have to comply with the rejection reason, because if every rejection we got an email, we will not able to answer all the emails.
Okay. I had several questions about the HS codes that are not regulated, or for example, the HS code does not require NHRA approval. What you should do is to clear the shipment directly, given that the item is matching the HS code description. If customs asks for NHRA approval, although the HS code is not regulated, you will need to speak to the custom headquarters to sort out this issue.
In all case of HS code, for example, it's not matching the description, or is there are any problem with the system itself, you have to contact customs for this issue, because we just approve and reject the request. We cannot do anything more.
Okay, there are several questions about QMS. I will try to combine them. Will the QMS certificate work for the same as the country of origin in the invoice, in case the legal manufacturer is different than the country of origin, but the country of origin is listed at the QMS list of subcontractor? Is it enough? I think yesterday there were some confusion between importation and registration. Will you consider the QMS to clear the shipments instead of the QAC, the CE, not the ISO?
Yeah, all of them are quality certificates.
So both
yeah.
of them, yeah, both of them can be recognized or as a document to clear the shipment.
As we already mentioned on the requirement, if you have SFDA, FDA, foreign government certificate, we mean, not any other certificates, and CE and the ISO. All of them are acceptable if you attach them in.
Our new CE certificate shows only the legal manufacturer. We have an annexure issued by the notifying body showing the physical manufacturer. The annexure number is available on the notified body website, but the website does not show the details. Will we need email verification? If yes, how frequent should we do this verification if we import frequently from this physical manufacturer? I think this was explained yesterday in the verification session. Please try to limit your questions to importation so that others can benefit from these questions. In case of violation, any action will be taken?
After the third violation, the violation will be added in your CR. So yeah, there are actions will be taken.
What do you mean by a non-authorized exporter?
Broker.
In other words, yes. Is there any specific currency to be used with the invoice amount in the application?
Ufuk already, when you put the price, you can choose any currency. For example, if your invoice have euro or US dollar or any other currency, you can choose it on Ufuk because Ufuk add all the currency on the world.
Okay, one valid question. If the medical device country of origin is different than the assembled country, like for example, if they have a medical device that was assembled in USA, but the whole materials were manufactured in a different country, what is the document? What kind of a document you will ask for in order to clear the shipment?
In this cases, maybe we will ask about for a sample from customs. So we will check the item physically. We'll check where it's manufactured, and we will check the certificates. It's mentioned, for example, it's manufactured in China, but your invoice mentioned it's manufactured in US. So in this case, will be rejected. But if all the information are matching, it will be approved.
Thank you very much. I think some of the questions are related to importing or purchasing from Amazon directly. Will you approve shipments coming from Amazon?
For personal shipment or?
No, not personal.
No, it will not be approved.
Maybe you can emphasize more about why we're not approving any shipment that comes from a third party, a non-authorized entity.
Because as you see, the requirement here, in case the invoice is not issued from a manufacturer or authorized representative. In this case, we cannot make sure of the, for example, the storage of the machine. So basically, we cannot make sure if this machine will work properly. We cannot guarantee the quality of this device because maybe it's not stored properly. Maybe it's already used. Maybe you cannot make sure if the device is guaranteed or not. So in this case, we cannot approve anything unless we receive a letter from the manufacturer, as it's mentioned here. You have to provide a declaration from the manufacturer with the full details.
Thank you very much. And I would like to add also in terms of post-market surveillance, if the manufacturer does not know that this device is located in Bahrain, and for instance, the device was recalled, they cannot allocate where is that device. And if there is any issue with the safety or the quality of the device, patient and end users will still use a recalled device. So we're putting patient life at risk. Okay, there's one question about Ufuq invoice amount. Should we include it with the discount or without the discount?
No, without. Because custom will not clear the shipment if you add the discount. The customs will calculate the full shipment amount.
Okay, thank you for that. Can you please elaborate on the spare part import, which needs NHRA approval? Can you give an example, for example, just to clarify what was not clarified earlier?
In case of, as I stated earlier, if this is a cover or something, just a plastic piece or something like this, it's not require any quality certificate. But in case of it is a main part, for example, for MRI, or for example, anything like this, something vital. So it will require quality certificate.
Who can decide the spare parts affect or not? As most spare parts come without QAC. Well, it's actually affecting on the core of the device or not. If you're talking about foot switch, it's not a major spare part. But if you're talking about the core spare parts that affects the final result of the device diagnosis or treatment, then you need to provide the QAC. Can we give a chance for participants to raise their hand and have like a live interaction? We have Hussam.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I have two questions. The first one, can you please repeat if we are dealing with third party that exists in UAE and the invoice is from the third party, what documents is required? Second question, sometimes for urgent cases and if we have a shortage in equipment, we may ship from UAE from the third party. Can we do that, and what documents is required for this in this case?
We already mentioned on the presentation, if it is authorized distributor, you have to provide a relation letter from the manufacturer. If it is not authorized, you have to provide a declaration from the manufacturer with the full details.
Okay, he's authorized, so I think it's a relation.
Yeah, relation is enough.
Okay, we'll have Mr. Furkhan Sayed.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I have the question. We requested something in April, and the request is still there, and it is not rejected, and it is not processed.
If you can please make your questions general so that others can benefit from your question. If you can put yourself in the participant's shoes, they need to benefit from this question. So maybe you can rephrase it where you can show the challenge and we can explain to you.
Okay, some of the requests are delayed for a few months. So how can we know that?
Yeah, what is the reason that it is delayed? What are those documents that you're talking about?
No, if we request, then the request is still there. It shows the only requested. It is not rejected and it is not processed.
No, dear. Make sure that the request is still pending. If it is still pending, make sure that you choose the correct ministry code or contact your clearance agent, because it's not possible that the request is pending for a few months. No way.
Sometimes the applicant, did you apply for it yourself or it's somebody else who applied?
No, we applied it.
Okay, sometimes you select 2250 instead of 2251. If not, please send us an email with the capture of this pending request on medical_devices@nhra.bh. We will have now Mr. Sunil question. Mr. Sunil, we cannot hear you. Okay, I will have one question. If a particular branded product is registered under one authorized representative or distributor, can anyone else also import the same brand? If yes, then what is the advantage of registering a brand? This is not related to importation, but let me clarify one point. We have limited the documents to stop parallel importation. If that entity was able to provide us the invoice that is already issued from the manufacturer or a representative, an authorized representative to sell into Bahrain market, then you need to sort this issue with the manufacturer themselves. Registration facilitates the importation of the medical device. You don't need to keep on verifying any documents. And the registered medical devices along with their authorized representative will be published on our website, so all healthcare facilities can actually contact you easily. I'm sorry, we will not be able to re-explain anything because we will share, as we said, we will share the presentation with you. So I will try to tackle questions that has not been raised by the speaker. We can have Mr. Yahya to ask his question. I think Mr. Sunil is having a problem with his mic.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
My question is regarding the violation. In case that we already have like 2 violations, the third violation, after third violation, how can the violation be removed?
You can only remove it by stopping the same violations. You need to take actions to prevent further violations. The violations cannot be removed. And the reason that we have a violation is that you need to invest more time in reviewing the documents before you submit it to NHRA. When we invest that much of an effort in having a one-to-one conversation, a continuous workshops, a guideline published on our website, what we expect from you is to take or invest a small amount of time in reviewing the documents before it is submitted. If you stop doing any violation, then you prevent any further actions against the CR itself. If let's say, for example, you reach to the final violation, it will be only removed if you present what are the preventative measures that you have taken internally with your team to prevent any future violations, and it will be the violation will be conditionally removed for 1 month. If within this month you still did have a violation, then this violation will stay for 1 year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. There will be no changes to the importation approval if the new registration method has been implemented. Okay. What is the maximum time for approval from our point of view, not from the applicant point of view? Because you have mentioned that it's the minimum is 48. What is the maximum?
There are no maximum for approval, but it's as I stated earlier, it's take usually 48 hours.
Okay, they have like a query about some rejection reason, naming an item number between the invoice and the certificate. Can you please explain to them what do we mean by this kind of a rejection?
Again.
If the name of the number is not matching, if the number of the item in the invoice is not matching the certificate. I think I've already answered it. Maybe you can give an example.
No, there are no numbers matching between the invoice and the certificate.
I think she means the SFDA.
Yeah, in case of SFDA, the model number in the invoice should match the number on the verification. If it is different, that means that this imported device or item is not registered at SFDA. Because SFDA, they not giving a scope of service. They register the item itself. So if the number is not matching, it means the item is not registered.
Okay, some people have encountered an issue with the combined medical device approval being shifted to Afaq. Please make sure that you attend tomorrow's session. We will tackle this change. And if you can say something for the companies who are only familiar with the combined medical device in terms of due to in terms of having the same criteria that was already implemented before or not? Okay, let me rephrase the question. Combined medical device terminology were cancelled, and now they have to go through UFOQ. Do you require the same documents that were requested in combined, or now that they are applying on UFOQ, there's a new requirements?
No, in case we need any additional document, we will write it on the comment box. But for now, it's almost the same requirement. It's already on, there are checklists on our website. They can cross-check with their document.
For spare parts, do you need catalog which mentioned item code? If not mentioned item code in the catalog, what we have to do in this case?
All catalog should be with the item number. In case the name in the invoice are the same in the catalog, we can process this request. But we will not ask for catalog if the name and the invoice are clear.
If we want to ship from the third party, which is authorized by the legal manufacturer, and it exists in UAE, can we ship the item? It depends. What do you mean? Who's the authorized representative? It's not in UAE? Please rewrite the question so that we can answer it. Okay, there is one recommendation from Mr. Rashid. Thank you very much. Can you instruct everyone to apply on UFOQ by themselves and not depend on courier companies as they don't know the NHRA requirements? Thank you very much. I think now everybody knows that they need to actually apply. Can you please explain how to get the username and password, Abdallah?
You can go to the main page on UFOQ. You will find below the form. You have to fill the form and send it to the email on the website, and they will contact you. You have all the information on the website. You can contact them if they are late or anything.
Okay. We can have Andre to ask a question live. Mr. Andre.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
I had just a little question. Actually, when we discussed, this question about the item will be assembled in USA and sent to Bahrain, and we got the answer that you will check it in laboratory first, or I mean not the laboratory. You'll take the sample from the customs and check if it is according to the specification that it's assembled in the US or not, and then you either reject or approve. So my question is, as you said before, you need to get pre-approval before you import the items. How it will be done in this case? Because it means that you already import and then it will be taken from the custom clearance.
In all case of samples, you have to ship the item. So before you import this item, you have to make sure that all the information is correct. So you will not pay all the money and that request will be rejected. So you have to make sure that all the information are correct, then ship your item. So it will come to Bahrain and it will be checked. If everything are correct, it will be approved.
Okay, and one more question regarding the same topic. For instance, I have a product, I know that it's for sure assembled in USA, I shipped it here, but I know that inside of this product, for instance, there is a lamp which was made in China, like one part, spare part, right, inside of the equipment.
Yeah,
The rest
lamp
is made.
does
It's
not
okay?
require any quality certificate. Lamp
Oh.
is,
Jazakallah khairan.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Andre, for your valuable questions. We have a question from Mr. Laith. If item needs pre-approval to Bahrain and KSA and was approved and entered KSA, does it need NHRA approval to move it to Bahrain? It was mentioned that moving these kind of items will be without pre-approval between KSA and Bahrain. I think that was last year, you are right. We've announced that there will be no customs between the two countries, but still that project is not yet implemented, yes. Yeah. But you can always submit the SFDA. There was one question about the SFDA, the new MIDMA certificate that we cannot verify, but they have the capture for it. Can they submit that kind of a document as a verification?
If we can't verify a certificate, even if the SFDA or any other certificate, you should not apply the certificate because it will be rejected, because we cannot make sure if it is a valid or not valid certificate. If you cannot verify the certificate on the website, you have to verify it by email, whether it is SFDA or any other certificate. If you cannot verify it by email or on the website, you shouldn't submit it because it will be rejected.
They can always submit the quality assurance certificate.
Yeah. Already the SFDA will be issued based on QMS or QAC. Exactly.
FDA mentioned in the QAC, so it means certificate of foreign government acceptable for FDA registration certificate of the product. Can you please advise which FDA document is acceptable in UFOQ?
Only certificate of foreign government.
The one that you can actually verify on the website.
Yeah.
It's different with the importation than in registration. You need to actually capture that device detail on FDA website and attach the certificate of foreign government. If we want to import any products by road through Causeway from KSA, is it allowed? What is the procedure? Is it a different procedure?
No, the same procedure.
Is the country of origin issued for each shipment of a product? I think they mean the quality assurance certificate issued for each shipment of a product.
Again.
Guess what do they mean? Okay, let me rephrase some of the questions. What is the focal or very important document to be attached during this pandemic situation? If we can summarize it.
It's the same. The requirement is the same.
Yes, can you?
As shows in this slide, the invoice, the quality certificate, the authorization, the catalog. The most important is the invoice and the quality certificate. And they should be verified. Always make sure to avoid attaching any not required document. Read the requirement and attach the required document only. So do not attach any document that's not required.
Okay, thank you very much, Abdullah. We will have one last participant, Rafiq Abdullah.
You can hear now? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's my question is from my experience I'm asking. For example, the supplier, the brand is from Italy and manufacturing in China. And in the certificate, CE and whatever it is, the certificate they are mentioning the Italian name. Is it acceptable?
Okay, well, you need to rephrase your question in terms of legal manufacturer and physical manufacturer. Abdullah, if you have the answer.
Yeah, it's mentioned here in the second rejection reason. Sometimes the manufacturer have many sites. Sometimes not all sites are have certificates. So if you are importing any item from any site, you have to make sure that this site have a quality certificate. For example, maybe there are manufacturers having more than 10 sites. Maybe 5 of them only have quality certificates.
Quality.
So you have to make sure that the sites have, all the sites you are importing from should have certificates.
Yeah. One more small question. If this same supplier have a SFDA, is there any privilege to get the approval?
On the SFDA, the only privilege is we will not depend on the site on the certificates. For example, the certificate shows USA, but the item coming from China. But when you go to the verification, you will see the same model number on the verification on the website. So that means the certificate, the item is already registered in the SFDA. In this case, we will approve the request, even the certificate shows a different site.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we will have one last question. What is the shorter way to check with NHRA if the imported item is under NHRA control or no?
You can cross-check the HS code list.
On the website?
Yeah, on our website.
Thank you very much. Let me see the time. We have 1 more minute. Okay. We will now send you the link on the chat box for the exam. Please make sure that you click on it. It's available on the chat box at the lower bar of the screen. It will only be available for 20 minutes. Thank you very much for listening. To those who we did not answer their questions, we will make sure to answer it and post it on our website after the webinar. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullah, for your valuable replies. And we'll see you, inshallah, tomorrow for the 5th day of the webinar. Ma'as-salam. Okay, we can now end the webinar.